What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of you for Vinland Saga Season 2. This is episode 21, and with me, as always, I have Blue Spade.
hmm Yeah, of course, we are starting out with the fallout from the battle on the beach side. You can tell, pretty much Kettle's forces stood absolutely no chance against Knut's forces, and um, I think what was it? Thorkel suggested that his men take over the homesteads, but Knut.
No,
turns-
that was Floki.
Oh yeah, okay, Floki, I got the wrong person. Floki suggested that I guess due to the men being exhausted from the battle, he suggests that they take over the homesteads, but Canute turns them down, saying that they would end up pillaging, which is something that he didn't want to do. It was something that we saw him talk about in previous episodes. But of course we overhear Canute's dead father talking over he can act kind and good mannered all he wants, but he'll always be the most deceptive person in history, because as you know, he got his father killed, he poisoned his brother, and used various tactics to gain power.
Yeah. I mean, Canute's just trying to... I mean, he's basically... I mean, some people I've seen say Canute is trying to, he's trying to obtain peace, or he's trying to be a different kind of ruler than his father was. But he's kind of, I think the irony is that he's becoming more like his father than he realizes.
Yeah, I mean, publicly, he's viewed as almost like this benevolent character, but as we know, he there's always a different side to another person. So we go back. We go back to Snake's place, in which we see pretty much everyone just licking their wounds, and everyone just how badly everyone is wounded after that battle. And of course, Omar just comes in and witnesses all of this, and realizes all the damage that he's that is done because of his foolishness.
Yeah, I kind of like how Omar has pretty much been forced to reflect on his own actions, and how he's and how he's just been basically him trying to be like his brother, him trying to pretend like he's this strong warrior, has resulted in kind of what ended up happening here, and he feels responsible for all these deaths. He feels like he's caused it.
Yeah, especially witnessing a family just pretty much having to endure the pain of watching, particularly this girl watching her father just suffering after he got both of his arms cut off during the battle, and the old man supposedly making his last request to Olmar to take care of his daughter. And this is, of course, triggers just a traumatic reaction to Olmar. Just feeling, like you said, he's just feeling a lot of guilt over everything that that supposedly he's caused. So we go back to I guess where Kettle is recuperating. We see Snake's Sphyrkle and Kettle's wife apparently just arguing over the fact that that they're pretty much forced into a corner, which they'll have no choice but to surrender. And Kettle's wife is vehemently opposed to all this, because she realizes if they end up surrendering, they're going to lose everything, including the farm.
Yeah, and of course Thorgel doesn't want to surrender either. He's determined to kill Canute and his men. He thinks that just 100 men would be enough to to kill Canute. But as we know, he's probably just going to use those men as some kind of a diversion while he he might again just try to flank Canute somehow. I mean, because I think he's not stupid. He realizes that those men aren't going to. I mean, well, as he's said before, he realizes those men aren't skilled in combat, and they'll probably get killed by the Yams Vikings.
I mean, even if they could go up against Canute again, I don't think whatever's left of Snake and Thorgil's men have any will to fight against them.
Yeah, I mean they're also recuperating from the wounds that they've already suffered, and the Yams Vikings are in just a much better position comparatively because they haven't been dealt any kind of blow like Kettle's forces have anyway. But of course Thorgil wants to go and fight Canute, and Snake is just going to do whatever his master Kettle tells him to because he feels indebted to Kettle. But Omar is, and I really like this scene because Omar finally realizes what he's done, that this is basically it's somewhat of his responsibility as well. So he pretty much just owns up to it and says that the best option really is to surrender, and he also kind of owns his prior actions too, that he was just pretty much just really trying to live up to his brother's expectations really, and that wasn't really he's trying to be somebody that he's really not, is kind of been his character arc really this season, he's trying to be like his brother when he's not his brother.
Yeah, but of course it's not everything turns out the way you expect it to be or how you anticipate it to be. So Omar, like you said, he pretty much owns up to his mistakes and his foolishness, over what happened, which pretty much caused this whole thing to start. Even though Thorgil points out that Canute was going to end up taking over the farm anyway, Olmor points out that he gave Canute the reason to invade the farm in the first place.
Yeah. I mean, Thorgil definitely has some responsibility with this too. He pretty much poured fuel on the fire in a way. But yeah, I mean, Omar also bears the responsibility for what's happened. But yeah, that's what Omar plans to do, and of course Thorgil does not agree with this and ends up just walking off. We don't really know where he's gonna go, but he just kind of storms off.
Thorfinn, who's still on his way to get a meeting with Canute. Unfortunately, he's being blocked by many of Canute's men who don't believe that Thorfinn's status as being like a high-ranking retainer. Of course, they know for a fact that he's a slave due to him, I guess you could say
his appearance and the way he smells, I guess.
Yeah. Of course, Thorfinn is trying every possible way just not to get into a fight, but unfortunately he has no other choice when one of those guys tries to end up fighting against him. So Thorfinn, for most of that fight, tries dodging him that entire time. But of course, Canute's right-hand man, I think Wolf, overhears the whole commotion, and he tells Canute that Thorfinn is out to meet him. And of course, Canute realizes that, remembers what Thorfinn did to him back at the end of the first season. Even though Wolf asks if he wants to set up a meeting with Thorfinn, Canute just straight up refuses.
Yeah. So yeah, Thorfinn pretty much tries and fails to convince Canute's men to set up a meeting. And also at the same time, we see that Einar is trying to find where Thorfinn went. We see that he talked to Leif Erikson, who told Einar that he's just going to wait for Thorfinn because he believes that he will come back. And Einar ends up in Canute's camp because that's, I guess, where he was told he was going. and tries to stop Thorfinn from what he's doing, because he tries to tell Thorfinn it's not worth it because it's really not their fight, and they don't really. He feels like that they don't really need to, they don't need to stay. They should just leave. But Thorfinn tries to argue that he wants to repay all the kindness that Kettle and I guess some of the other people on the farm had given given him while he's been there. So that's why I guess Thorfinn feels like he needs to talk to Canute and try to end this.
Yeah, and of course he overhears that a lot of the men surrounding them have been making bets over like who would win in a fight, whether it's that guy facing off against Thorfinn or Thorfinn himself. So Thorfinn makes a bet for himself, saying that if he manages to endure, I guess several blows against this guy, then
100. This is like 100 punches.
Yeah, 100 punches, and then supposedly these guys will agree to set up a meeting for Thorfinn and Canute. But unfortunately, the episode ends before we get to see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, again, the episode's preview kind of spoils some things because we do see that Thorfinn's face is looking pretty roughed up, so we can assume that he most likely withstood all those punches. Because we do see him meeting up with Canute, but of course, his face is pretty badly bruised and beaten.
It kind of sucks that we have to wait another week just to finally see the meeting between Thorfinn and Canute again. But overall, I think the highlight of this episode is Olmar's growth and his realization that that his actions really did cause all of this damage and suffering, over everything his father worked for.
Well, and I also think just him realizing that he's not the person he's been trying to make himself out to be, and that's not really who he is. He's been trying to be somebody that he's not. And it's basically resulted in a lot of him embarrassing himself and making other mistakes in his life.
Yeah, and pretty much admitting that he deserves all the ridicule that that people have been giving him. So it's definitely something that he's grown into. Even Sverkel acknowledges that he's grown over the course of the series too.
Yeah. But yeah, I also really liked the episode. I thought it was it definitely, I think, was the culmination of I guess of Omar's character arc throughout the season 2. And it definitely ended on a really kind of annoying cliffhanger because I was kind of hoping that we might get to see like just Thorfinn just getting the crap kicked out of him in this episode and just somehow withstanding all of that. But I guess they're saving that for next week. But yeah, I don't really have too much else to say about the episode though. I don't know if you have anything else to say about it.
Yeah, it was a good episode, with the exception of that abrupt ending out of nowhere. I mean, I would have loved to see what was going to happen with Thorfinn, but like I said, we have to wait until like next week to see what happens.
Yeah. So that all being said, guys, until next time, we will see you all later.